Benidorm, Spain, has long been a cherished destination for older adults seeking a vibrant yet relaxing getaway. For two sisters, it was the perfect retreat they had longed for. In August 2005, Mildred Bowman, 62, and Alice Wardle, 68, two sisters from Gateshead, England, embarked on what was supposed to be a relaxing holiday in Benidorm, Spain. These retired widows and grandmothers, who loved their frequent trips to Spain, were seeking a serene escape from the ever-changing weather of the UK. Little did they know, their vacation would end in a heartbreaking tragedy. The sisters checked into the Levante Club apartments, looking forward to a week of leisurely strolls, basking in the Mediterranean sun and enjoying each other's company. However, their stay took a fatal turn when they incorrectly lowered the folding bed in their hotel suite. Unaware of the proper way to handle the bed due to a lack of instructions, the base tilted instead of remaining horizontal. Moreover, the screws and wall plugs securing the bed's wall storage unit were not the correct size, causing the unit to detach and collapse onto the sisters as they slept. Trapped under the heavy wooden casing, they suffocated over 4 agonizing days, unable to free themselves. Alarmed when Mildred and Alice failed to show up for a planned meeting the day after their arrival, family members searched the resort, visiting their favorite spots in a desperate bid to locate them. Their worry turned to horror when a hotel cleaner, noticing the locked room door, alerted management. Upon entry, the collapsed bed and the sisters' lifeless bodies were discovered. An inquest in Gateshead, attended by about a dozen relatives who had been seeking answers for 4 years, revealed that the tragedy could have been prevented with proper safety measures. Gateshead coroner Terence Carney concluded that the deaths were avoidable, pointing out that the incorrect size of the screws used for the wall plugs was a significant issue. Despite these findings, a Spanish court had cleared the holiday resort bosses of any wrongdoing the previous December, leaving the family outraged and disappointed. Tango, a passionate and elegant dance form, originated in the late 19th century in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It is a unique blend of African, Native American, and European influences, reflecting the diverse cultural heritage of its birthplace. Known for its dramatic footwork and close embrace, Tango tells a story of love and longing through intricate steps and expressive rhythms. In a dark twist of fate, Alberto Fargo, a well-respected 45-year-old dance instructor in Lisbon, met a tragic end while teaching his students the tango. Fargo, renowned for his dedication to the dance, was demonstrating the importance of maintaining proper posture, a fundamental element in tango. Proper posture is essential in tango for both aesthetic and technical reasons, ensuring balance, fluidity, and the iconic close embrace of the dance. Fargo was emphasizing this crucial aspect by instructing his students to keep their heads high and look at the ceiling. In his fervor to impart this lesson, he failed to notice the open window beside him. Witnesses recounted the horrifying moment when Fargo, deeply engrossed in his demonstration, stepped backward and fell from the 5th-story window of the dance studio. Anthony Hensley, 37, of Villa Park, Illinois, was known for his dedication to his job at Knox Swan & Dog, a company that utilized swans and dogs to deter geese from condominium properties. On a seemingly routine Saturday morning in April 2012, Hensley set out in a kayak on a Chicago retention pond to check on the animals he diligently cared for. Tragically, this routine task turned fatal. As Hensley paddled across the pond, an angry swan aggressively swam towards him. The sudden attack caused Hensley to lose balance and fall into the water. Despite his efforts to stay afloat, the relentless swan continued its assault, creating a life-threatening situation. Frank Bilecki of the Cook County Sheriff's Department later recounted how Hensley struggled to resurface multiple times, with witnesses helplessly observing the harrowing scene. Despite immediate calls for help, rescue teams arrived too late. Hensley, who was not wearing a life vest, had already been fully submerged. Dive teams eventually pulled him from the pond, but he was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that throughout Hensley's struggle, the Swan continued to harass him, exacerbating his plight. Investigators speculated that Hensley had inadvertently ventured too close to the Swan's nesting area, triggering the aggressive response. Hensley's father-in-law, George Koutsogiannis, expressed his confusion and sorrow, suggesting that Hensley's gentle nature may have prevented him from fighting back against the Swan. 2 years later, in a quest for justice and accountability, Hensley's wife, Amy, filed a lawsuit against his employer and the condo complex where he cared for the birds. The lawsuit claimed that the attack caused or contributed to Anthony Hensley's drowning, and that the defendants knew or should have known that mute swans are strongly territorial with a dangerous propensity to attack. Lucy Morgan, a 6-year-old girl from New Jersey, sadly departed in a freak accident involving a badminton racket while on vacation with her family in Maine. On June 1, 2024, Lucy was playing outside with her siblings when the accident occurred. Her brother's badminton racket broke during a downward swing, causing the aluminum shaft to dislodge from the wooden handle. This piece of the racket struck Lucy in the head, piercing her skull and causing severe brain injuries. This occurred due to the mechanical failure of the racket during normal play, likely exacerbated by the swing's force. When the shaft broke loose, it travelled with enough momentum to penetrate Lucy's skull, causing catastrophic damage. First responders quickly arrived at the scene and found Lucy breathing but unresponsive. She was airlifted to a hospital in Portland, Maine, where doctors performed emergency surgery, removing part of her skull to relieve pressure from her brain. Despite their efforts, Lucy's injuries were too severe, and she passed away 4 days later. The community has shown significant support for the Morgan family, including a GoFundMe campaign that has raised over $120,000 to help with medical and funeral expenses. The opening ceremony of the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, was intended to be a grand spectacle celebrating global unity and peace. On September 17, 1988, as part of the ceremony, hundreds of live doves were released, symbolizing world peace. This tradition had been a staple of Olympic ceremonies for decades, embodying the ideals of harmony and goodwill that the Games strive to promote. However, this particular event took a tragic turn, resulting in an unforgettable incident that would change Olympic protocol forever. As the ceremony progressed, the released doves, embodying the spirit of peace, began to circle the stadium. Many of them landed on the rim of the Olympic cauldron, a towering structure soon to be lit in a symbolic gesture marking the start of the Games. The sight of the doves perched around the cauldron was meant to be a poignant moment, merging the imagery of peace with the fiery symbol of the Olympic spirit. However, this serene image was shattered when the time came to light the cauldron. The Olympic flame, a powerful symbol of the Games' enduring legacy, ignited with intense heat and brightness. Unbeknownst to the organizers, many of the doves were still resting on the cauldron's rim and flying directly above it. As the flames roared to life, over a dozen doves were engulfed and burned alive by the sudden burst of fire. The horrifying sight of birds being incinerated cast a shadow over the ceremony, shocking the audience and marring what was meant to be a jubilant celebration. The immediate aftermath of this incident was a mix of shock, horror, and regret. The death of the doves was widely reported and led to a public outcry. Animal rights groups, spectators, and even Olympic officials expressed their dismay over the tragic oversight. The incident highlighted the need for a reconsideration of using live animals in such grand ceremonies, where unforeseen circumstances could lead to unintended harm. In response to the public reaction and the evident need for change, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, made a significant decision. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the IOC declared that live doves would no longer be used in Olympic ceremonies. This decision marked a turning point in the history of the Games, prioritizing the safety and well-being of animals in future events. The tragic events of the 1988 opening ceremony thus became a catalyst for change, ensuring that such an incident would not be repeated. The lighting of the Olympic flame remains a powerful and symbolic act, but the methods of conveying messages of peace and unity have evolved. Subsequent games have used alternative symbols and methods to represent peace, avoiding the use of live animals. The decision to cease the release of live doves was not only a response to the immediate tragedy, but also a step forward in the ethical treatment of animals in global events. The 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul will always be remembered for this unfortunate incident. While the Games themselves were a successful celebration of athletic prowess and international cooperation, this event, although tragic, led to a positive change in how animals are treated in the context of public celebrations, ensuring a more humane approach in future Olympic ceremonies. Tommy Cooper, born Thomas Frederick Cooper on March 19, 1921, in Caerphilly, South Wales, was one of Britain's most beloved comedians and magicians. Known for his distinctive red fez and his bumbling, larger-than-life stage persona, Cooper's blend of slapstick humour and magic tricks gone awry made him a household name. His career spanned several decades, during which he became an iconic figure in British entertainment. Cooper's interest in magic began at a young age when he received a magic set as a gift. This early fascination with illusion laid the foundation for his future career. After serving in the British Army during World War II, where he continued to hone his magic skills by entertaining fellow soldiers, Cooper decided to pursue a career in entertainment. His unique act, which combined magic and comedy, quickly set him apart from other performers. Tommy Cooper's big break came in the 1950s when he appeared on the television variety show It's Magic. His bumbling magician act, where tricks often seemed to fail but ultimately succeeded in unexpected ways, resonated with audiences. Cooper's catchphrases, such as "just like that" and "not like that," became widely recognized and imitated. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Cooper was a regular fixture on British television, with shows like The Tommy Cooper Hour and Cooper's Half Hour. His performances were characterized by a chaotic, almost childlike sense of humor, where the comedy often stemmed from his apparent incompetence as a magician. Yet, this was all part of his genius. The deliberate mistakes and faux clumsiness were meticulously planned and executed. Despite his jovial on-stage persona, Tommy Cooper's personal life was marked by struggles. He battled alcoholism, which affected his health and relationships. Cooper was known to be a heavy drinker, and his addiction took a toll on his professional life as well. Nonetheless, his charm and talent continued to endear him to fans and colleagues alike. Cooper was married to Gwen Henty, known as Dove, and the couple had 2 children. Despite their long marriage, Cooper's personal life was complex, with reports of infidelity and a turbulent relationship with his wife. These personal challenges, however, seldom overshadowed his professional achievements in the public eye. Tommy Cooper's death is one of the most infamous moments in the history of live television. On April 15, 1984, Cooper was performing on the live ITV variety show Live from Her Majesty's. During his act, Cooper collapsed on stage, initially to laughter from the audience who believed it was part of his routine. It soon became apparent that something was seriously wrong. Cooper suffered a massive heart attack, collapsing backward into the curtain. The audience continued to laugh, thinking it was part of the act, as the show's producers quickly cut to a commercial break. Despite efforts to revive him, Cooper was pronounced dead shortly after being taken off stage. The live nature of the broadcast meant that Cooper's collapse was witnessed by millions of viewers. The initial confusion and the delayed response highlighted the stark reality of live entertainment. His death was a profound shock to the nation, marking the end of an era in British comedy.